All right, guys, time for the Instagram Q&A. We're gonna pick out two questions today. So first one is from Azadi Fitness, AZAD Fitness. Can you talk about sodium intake during peak week, especially the last few days? Let's say for a natural athlete who does not take diuretics. So my thoughts on sodium has changed throughout the last decade, and how it would pertain to an enhanced athlete or natural is very similar regardless of using AAS. So back in the day, I was more aggressive and more extreme with all facets of bodybuilding, not just chemicals, but of course manipulation with sodium, water, carbohydrate loading, depletion, all that stuff. So back in the day, I always believed in high water throughout the whole prep, but what I would actually do is even water load higher the final week. So let's say you're at 1.5 gallons normal. Let's say starting Monday, so 5 days out from a Saturday show, I would go from 1.5 to 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. In 2006, I peaked at 4 or 4.5 gallons one day before the show, Friday night. And in that process, sodium was also high throughout the whole diet, and it would get jacked up just a little bit also with the water load from Monday through Saturday. But back in the day, the difference with sodium, what I would do is I'd ramp up water, which lowers your antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin, okay, even more so. And then, of course, you jack up sodium even more. It lowers aldosterone even more so. But you can't do both of these measures for too long because homeostasis does kick in. The body's very adaptive and smart. So defense mechanisms kick in. So you can't manipulate things to extremes too long. So what I would do, which wasn't too bad, I had a good short window that I timed, and sodium would be high, high, high. Thursday was the highest. Then Friday, one day out, I would drop sodium that would be added. And I would just use what was naturally occurring in the protein. So sodium would not be added Friday. Water was still jacked up, so then it would basically flush out and overshoot. So you'd overshoot any sodium throughout the body. And in retrospect, I think for an enhanced athlete, that might be the way to go because you do need to get drier because you have more variables. You have growth hormone for some people, maybe insulin for some people, maybe multiple aromatizing compounds, orals, your body's stress. You might be water retentive from the chemical aspect. So therefore, you might need to manipulate sodium as best as you can naturally plus prescription diuretics. So you'd ramp up water, high, 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 sodium high, but then just drop sodium Friday, one day before. Not taper from Wednesday because that's bad. Defense mechanisms kick in. Just one day, drop sodium, keep water high, overshoot the sodium. I think of it almost as like your body is a canvas and you have sodium or paint on it. You're flushing out all the paint. You're basically rinsing the canvas dry to nothing with that Friday load of water and the decrease of sodium. So by Friday night into Saturday morning, you're a blank canvas and you can add everything back in if need be. You need to fill out, you need more vascularity, you add sodium, you add sugar, you add carbs, you suck it up. That was always my thought process. So nowadays, I don't really mess with sodium at all. Don't really mess with water a whole lot. I want it high the whole time. So I want sodium high, whatever that is. I don't really like to crunch numbers of sodium. I just say stick with your seasonings of choice and keep the seasoning staple the whole prep, whether that's sugar-free ketchup, soy sauce, whatever. Just keep doing it. You're at 1.5, 2 gallons of water. Keep it that way the whole time. Keep water and sodium the same or stagnant. And then if you do a prescription diuretic, just minimally the night before. That takes care of excessive sodium, etc. That's the safest route. I don't think you need to mess with things too much. You know, in retrospect, what I used to do with the drop sodium abruptly Friday, it worked. But you know, if you're shredded, you're in shape a week out, you don't really need to do a whole bunch. So that can be applied to natural and enhanced people. So the next question, I'll do another one. He says, who is this? Daniel D. Sousa, maybe. He says, you're using low doses and it's working great, but do you think it's possible to build a competitive shape from zero with those doses? So he's saying I'm using my TRT for the majority of the year, then I experiment with one compound or whatever for my experiment series, and it's working great. Could I have built what I have now from those doses? No. But I will say this. He asked, can you be competitive on such doses? I was competitive prior to growth hormone and what I thought was more extreme 2012 and beyond. Before that, I would use, in my experience, very mild stuff. And then I wouldn't use anything in the off season. I only use mild stuff. I say mild doses. I don't think Trend's mild, but I use a low dose Trend, Winstrol. Never test pre-contest, but I use really low doses of AAS, and I'd be competitive at a state level. I won overalls and all that stuff at a state level, at a pretty mild dosing. Now, could I have done that on 200 milligrams of testosterone and a little bit of G? Maybe. I would have been very impressive. And there's always smaller shows, local shows, that, yeah, you can just come in shredded and you're going to win. So, yeah, you can be competitive. To what degree? Your genetics are going to determine that, your work ethic, your nutrition. But you won't be competitive most likely at a national level unless you are elite superior genetics, which you're already crazy looking natural. So you add 200 milligrams of test, a little bit of growth. You probably can win a lot of state overalls and maybe even tear some shit up in the national scene. Especially for classic too, so you don't have to be a huge weight. You have to suck down. I'm sure a lot of genetically gifted guys could be on 200 milligrams of test and a little bit of growth and get their pro card, in classic division, in my opinion, a national show. So yeah, you can be competitive. I don't think you can build, crazy IFBB pro open class physique off those doses, unless you're Kai Green or Ronnie Coleman. But you can definitely do a lot with the little guys. That's just the facts. You gotta believe that. You gotta believe in your abilities. You can't be, blindsided by all these people that are pushing in social media that you got to take this and thousands of milligrams of this because this extreme pro did this and his. These people have extreme personalities. A lot of these guys that push high doses, just that's their mentality. They want to do that. Not everyone is that gung-ho ride or die mentality, and those people that are naturally prone to doing party drugs, recreational things, and some people just are extreme, and they don't need to be, but that's just the way their mind works. So you don't have to fall for that trap kind of that's more of what's popular today. You take your time. I think you can do a lot with minimal. In fact, I know you can. I've done it, and a lot of people that I've known have done it. It's just kind of your mindset and how things work.